Good, happy Thursday evening, April 30th, 2020, the last day of April. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday evening, so let's begin. First up, we're following breaking news. Live, President Trump delivers remarks on protecting America's seniors. If you want to see that, we will share the link with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page. And you can go to WMUR.com and see it up at the top of their website right now. Now let's take a look at your coronavirus in New Hampshire important information. Let's take a look at what you need to know. And here is a look at that COVID-19 in New Hampshire information. There are 2,054 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,034,884 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. 66 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. 259 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And 60,027 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. This map of New Hampshire shows you where cases of COVID-19 are in towns and cities of New Hampshire. In Derry, 133 cases. This chart here, new cases each day in New Hampshire. In the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations. And in the red are the deaths. This chart here shows you current cases. In the purple, total current COVID-19 cases. In the orange, current hospitalizations. In this chart here, cumulative totals. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations. In the red, deaths, and in the blue, recovered. This chart here shows you by age group. This chart here shows you female and male. And this chart here shows you risk information. This chart here shows you race/ethnicity of cases. And this chart here shows you percent of New Hampshire population. And your common symptoms: fever, cough, lack of smell, chills, and difficult breathing. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Rate of new unemployment claims in New Hampshire declines as overall total remains high. Employment officials see positive signs as crisis continues. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Ray Brewer.
These are truly challenging times, but New Hampshire companies are here and open for business.
The latest numbers released by the U.S. Department of Labor show a steady decline in new filings for unemployment in New Hampshire for April. The Deputy Commissioner for Unemployment Security says that's a positive sign.
Hopefully we can see this continue, and hopefully that's a good sign as businesses start to look to reopen.
Richard Laver says there's something else he's happy to see: the rate in which new claims are declining compared to the national numbers.
So that's a positive sign for New Hampshire, that we are more than doubling the rate of decline in new numbers.
But there is also a glimpse of how much this is costing New Hampshire. While the official numbers won't be out until next month, Laver says a couple of months ago there were about 750,000 people working in New Hampshire. In the last 6 weeks, 140,000 people have filed for unemployment, or about 19% of that workforce, and that rate could go higher.
Depending on what happens with the pandemic, what happens with the ability of businesses to reopen.
But barring that, Laver says things appear to be heading in the right direction, although he does see another potential problem in getting some people back to work.
In many cases, for instance, retail, hospitality, and restaurant, people are earning more on unemployment right now than they were when they were working.
While call centers for claims are still busy, last Wednesday there were about 10,000 calls coming in. Yesterday, there were only 6,000.
And we can try to get back to something that looks a little bit more like normal, back in the old days, like 2 months ago.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And tonight at 5:30 p.m., unemployment official Richard Laver answering viewer questions live on News 9 at 5:30 p.m. Just go to WMUR News 9 on your TV and you can see him answer the questions from viewers. $157 new coronavirus deaths in Massachusetts, over 1,900 new cases in state. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health confirmed 157 new COVID-19 related deaths across the state Thursday, bringing the state's total to 300,562. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases rose to 62,205 after 1,940 new cases were reported by the state health officials on April 30th, today. Where and when to wear cloth masks in public beginning Friday in Maine. Cloth mask must be worn in Maine's public places starting tomorrow. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
If switching to Visible means you'll miss the mystery in your phone bill, we're sure there's a true crime series you can catch up on. It's The Mystery. Visible, welcome to the future of phone service.
Starting tomorrow on May 1st, one of the items you'll need whether you're going out to run errands, if it's the grocery store or any store across the state, is one of these cloth face masks. That is part of Governor Janet Mills' new Safer at Home order, extending restrictions during the coronavirus outbreak while slowly reopening the state. She says Mainers must wear face masks in public spaces. Those are defined as, but not limited to, indoor spaces such as grocery stores, retail stores, pharmacies and healthcare facilities, playgrounds, busy parking lots, and other areas such as lines for the takeout service where people tend to gather in a small area. It also includes public transportation such as taxis, ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft, ferries, buses, or trains, and any enclosed transit stop or waiting area. Now, cloth face coverings, they're not required for children under 2 years old, kids in daycare, anyone who has trouble breathing, related medical conditions, or is unable to take their mask off without help. In the governor's order, it expires on May 31st. Reporting for WMTW News 8, I'm Talia Clark.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. So starting tomorrow in Maine, you must wear a face mask. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in, the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in, the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in, the red and went down. Gold closed in, the red and went down. Oil closed in, the green and went up. US 10-year closed flat. Euro/USD closed in, the red and went down. And VIX closed in the green and went up. Dow drops nearly 300 points, but notches best month in 33 years. Stocks fell sharply on Thursday, the last day of April, as another round of dismissal economic data led investors to trim some profits, while the markets wrapped up its best month in decades. A lingering allegation of sexual assault against Joe Biden is fast becoming to test for the presumptive nominee, and how he handles could impact the first presidential contest of the Me Too era. Biden's campaign has denied the allegations. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
This morning, Joe Biden is under growing pressure to address an accusation that has been lingering for weeks.
It was very painful, and it's had a long-lasting effect on my life.
Tara Reid was a 29-year-old staff assistant in Biden's Senate office in 1993 when she says he sexually assaulted her. Reid says an aide told her to bring Biden his gym bag. She says she found him in a corridor of a Senate office building and has described what she says happened next in interviews with ABC News and other outlets, including Democracy Now!
I was up against the wall, and I remember his hands underneath my blouse and underneath my skirt, and his fingers penetrating me as he was trying to kiss me, and I was pulling away.
Reid tells us that at the time she complained to the Senate Personnel Office that Biden had, quote, made her feel uncomfortable. But she says she did not mention an assault, and she has no record of the complaint. Reid claims she was forced out of her job. This is not the first time she has gone public with accusations against Biden, and Reid's claims have evolved. Last year, when the candidate came under fire from women who accused him of physical contact they felt was inappropriate, like unwanted hugs, Reid came forward to say Biden touched her on the shoulder and neck in a way that was, quote, uncomfortable. But she did not mention any kind of an assault, nothing like the incident she describes today. In a statement, Biden's campaign says the former vice president firmly believes that women have a right to be heard, and heard respectfully. Such claims should also be diligently reviewed by an independent press. What is clear about this claim? It is untrue. This absolutely did not happen. But Biden himself has not commented on the allegations, and the pressure is building for him to speak up. The Washington Post editorial board writing Wednesday, Tara Reid deserves to be heard, and voters deserve to hear her. They deserve to hear from Joe Biden, too. Reid says after the alleged assault in 1993, she told a few people. She referred us to a friend who says Reid told her Biden put his hand up her skirt during an unwanted encounter. That friend did not want to be named. ABC News also spoke with Reid's brother, Colin Moulton. He told us his sister mentioned in 1993 that she was experiencing, quote, harassment at work. He said he did not know the details until recently. But he later texted us to clarify that he does remember his sister telling him back then that Biden, quote, more or less cornered her against the wall and put his hands up her clothes. Reid also put us in touch with a former neighbor, Linda Lacasse, who says Reid told her about the alleged assault several years later. Reid describes herself as a, quote, hardcore Democrat and insists she's not playing politics. But her story has now been taken up and heavily promoted by President Trump's campaign, his son Donald Trump Jr., and his political allies. Multiple women have accused the president of sexual assault, including rape. President Trump says they're all lying. Now, Reid also says that at the time, she shared her concerns about Biden's inappropriate behavior with 3 other staffers in Biden's Senate office. We've reached out to them, and all 3 refute that. They say Reid never reached out to them with any complaints, and George, at least one of them tells us he considers his allegation of assault to be, quote, preposterous.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.